So this is the biggest announcement that I've ever made. And I think it's the key unlock that's going to help my startup Stan become a billion-dollar business. And it's that I just signed a deal with Steven Bartlett, the host and podcaster behind the Diary of a CEO, to invest and become a co-owner in my business to help us blow out distribution. And we've actually filmed the entire 6-month process that it's taken for us to land this big of a deal, which has culminated in us doing a one-of-a-kind deal that I believe is the future of venture capital investing. And my hope is that by watching this process, you'll see all the nuance behind how to pitch your business and then all of the strategy required to land a partner as massive as Steven.
Hello, mate. Good to see you.
I'm nervous, okay? Let's go! All right, so I think this could be the start of something really, really big, where for a while now I've been talking about one of the ways that we're going to grow from 30 million to 100 million plus in revenue is by partnering with the biggest creator entrepreneurs out there. And one of my personal goats in the creator entrepreneur sphere is Steven Bartlett, who runs the podcast Diary of a CEO, which I think is like the #1 business podcast out there. And he's scaled it so well, like he's grown so immensely over the last few years. And so I'd really, really love to get him to invest and partner with us. And I've been trying to figure out all these different ways to actually get in touch with Steven and get him interested in a potential partnership. And I'm excited to report that I'm about to walk into a Zoom meeting with his investment team to specifically talk about Stan. And so I'm going to record this call. And then afterwards, I'm going to talk to you about how I actually managed to get in and actually get Steven to be directly texting with me and be interested in talking about Stan. All right, 9 a.m. Deep breath. Channel some good energy. Let's do this. Hey, Molly.
Hello. Hi, John. How are you doing?
I'm doing really well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm very well, thanks. You're based out in the US, aren't you?
I am. I'm in LA.
Ah, nice. Much better weather there, I imagine. Is it nice?
It is. I imagine it's very cold, dark, and rainy where you are right now.
Yeah, it is pretty much pitch black outside, about 2 degrees, and pretty miserable. Yeah.
Hey, Christiana.
Hello, Tom. Lovely to meet you. How are you?
Doing well. Lovely to meet you as well. Hey, Jason.
I'll see if you go first. I think the nature of this conversation was obviously you got in contact with Steven. It seems like you've been following Direct for 5 years, Steven. I think Steven told us.
That's
so
correct.
You're kind of an avid follower of Steven's journey as well. And it sounds like you've probably been following the similar journey the last 4 years, maybe, from the sound of it. So it'd be great to hear a bit more about you and what you're kind of looking for from us, both on the kind of fund side, the media side, etc.
Of course. I think there'd potentially be a ton of synergies just given the audience you guys are building. So I'll give background both on my story and then therefore Stan's. It's kind of deeply intermingled if you think about a founder's journey and how personal that journey might be. So the mission of Stan is really, really simple. It's just to empower anyone to get to work for themselves. And the reason why that mission is so deeply personal to myself and the rest of the team is because we all come from similar backgrounds of being pretty bootstrapped. Like I myself grew up in the South of the United States, so very few people that look like me growing up. I had a single mom, immigrant kid. You can imagine how hard that might be to just want to fit in, right? And so my personal journey was doing all the right things that society told me to do in order to be happy. So that for me was, went to undergrad and at uni, I paid for school myself. I worked nights and weekends. I studied computer science and business. And then for me, it was like, the way to get accepted in society is have a great job. And so Jason, I followed a similar path. I actually cold called my way to a job on Wall Street at Goldman Sachs. I had no connections. I just kind of hustled my way in there. But obviously you get to places like that and you're like, wait a minute, like, you think you're the stuff now, but you look around and you're like, my bosses seem very miserable, like I don't want this. And so I did what I think a lot of early 20s people do is they make the same mistake multiple times, like, it's just because I want an even better job. And so I got an even better job in private equity at a top growth equity firm, Norwest Venture Partners, got to do multi-billion-dollar deals there. And in that process as well, my managing partner was like, John, like one day this could be you, like, and that once again didn't resonate with me. So I went off to Stanford Business School. All that to say is like I checked all the boxes, right? The things that are like supposed to make us feel fulfilled, and through that process felt very meaningless and really lacked fulfillment. And so it was through the lens of at business school. It was deep COVID. We were all kind of like doom scrolling, and I think that's really when Steven started blowing up. And through that process, I was kind of like, what? If I wanted to do this, like what value could I add to the world? And so I posted my first few cringy TikToks. They're so cringe. But they did really, really well. And it was specifically because I was like, what value can I add? And for me, that was how do I, as an underrepresented minority, get my first dream job? Like that was just so deeply my personal story. And so in that process, as I was like soul searching, like what do I want to do with my life in general? I don't want to go back to corporate. This creator thing is really cool, right? Like I'm getting to help people. I'm getting to be creative for the first time in my life. Like that wasn't something that I ever explored as a kid. But the last variable here was like, how do I actually make a business out of this, like a sustainable enterprise? And so the very first version of Stan I built for my own account, which like was actually 4 years ago, it's crazy, it was just to solve my own problems. And all I did was I put up I logged into my old Dropbox. I like had to recover the password. I found my junior year internship resume, and I didn't change anything. I just uploaded it, and I uploaded that on Stan. Sold it for $10, and that was how I made my first ever passive income. And so the story of Stan since then is, first it was my creator friends using it. They were all like, "Hey John, this looks awesome. Can I use it?" And we now have 60,000 creator entrepreneurs. We just scaled from $0 to $28 million in annual recurring revenue. We have 40% EBITDA margins unintentionally. Have never spent a single dollar on paid marketing until our recent experiments. And I think at this point we have really, really clear conviction on who we are as people. So what are our values? What is our mission? How do we scale a real culture and a foundational business that offers real fundamental value? And now it's just about blowing it out. Like, we have strong product market fit. We are without a doubt the best product in the market. And we're really, really clear on our strategy of how we want to go to market over the next few years, which is to build the Nike for entrepreneurship. Is to inspire like every little John, Jason, Christiana, Molly, and Will was here for a second. But like that, like to tell those stories, like the way that I feel inspired about Steven's or the way that some people feel inspired about my content. Like, how do we blow that out at scale and build a multi-billion-dollar brand that also monetizes, obviously, through the unit economics of a SaaS business? And so it's pretty clear product market fit in terms of like why work with Fight Fund and why work with Steven. So that I'd say that's the context.
And then how would you kind of define your current customer profile? You mentioned it's kind of for every creator, but I'm just wondering, are you over-indexing with obviously the profile of Steven Bartlett's very different to the brand new Molly or Christiana trying to start their careers?
Yeah, I can actually give a couple like tangible examples. If I can share my screen, we can just go through like random Instagram profiles if you guys want to. Oh, Chloe's looks. So she's just popping up on my feed right now. So Chloe is what started out as a lifestyle influencer, right? She's showing off her clothing, what have you. And so what a lot of folks in the lifestyle space are recognizing, if you go to her Stan store, is she's basically selling her wardrobe. Like, basically what she's doing is, before the old model was just doing affiliate links, but she's asking the question, how can I actually directly monetize? And so she's made very meaningful income off of a $29 winter capsule wardrobe guide. And so as you can imagine, this is just a Canva ebook of all of her favorite pieces, which then have the affiliate link on top. And so she's like basically 3xing her customer LTV, which is super different from someone like, this is one of my favorite examples, Milkmaid Farm. And her Stan store here is just an ebook of how she makes like sourdough bread and stay-at-home recipes. And I love this example. There's literally basket weavers, crocheters, lots of fitness instructors, lots of business coaches. I think our core demographic is going to be someone like Abigail Pugh. This is how we've thought about how we intentionally scale over time, is we work with like the entire market of business coaches online, right? It's such a large segment. It's kind of like the top of funnel for us. Someone like Abigail Pugh, our core demographic who we're really deeply proud of serving, is what we call like the Midwest American mom. Like, this is not about the glamorous bi-coastal elite in New York or LA, like the people that I'm around. It's about like real hardworking, in this case, American entrepreneurs. It's just like an everyday small business entrepreneur. And so really thinking about how do we build the middle class of creators and really rebuild the small business economy.
And I guess with that in mind, what role do you see Steven playing in this in terms of do you see him being a external facing ambassador? And likely the Midwest American mom, not quite yet. So I'm just curious, how do you see him turning up other than adding value from like an investment perspective?
Yeah, so Stan is clearly a growth stage company at this point. We have really strong product market fit, but only 5% of the total market of people that could ever know about us know that we exist. And so it's really about blowing out that messaging. And there are very few creators who have the respect, the values and mission alignment, and the audience alignment, and the effectiveness alignment to be an ambassador at scale for us. Like, there's a very small list of names, and we're kind of having conversations with them. Steve and I chatted a lot about what Alex Hormozy has done with School. I'm looking to do a partnership very similar, and I've talked to Alex at length about kind of the deal construct and structure, and happy to share all those details. I see this on a different plane, actually, is that initially is tactically, I think, how we scale the business together. But I think what we'll be really proud of long term is not just kind of the core revenue drivers, but also the legacy and the impact. And that's why I mentioned that brand of Nike. Like, I'm really looking for our Michael Jordan, for lack of a better term. And how do we tell Steven's story at scale, using Stan's financial scale as well, and kind of the firepower we now have to like really, like, in the same way that I see a Jordan ad and get super hype, like, how do we do that for Steven and every little kid out there? So that's broadly how I think about it.
very smart to use Michael Jordan as an analogy to get Steven's attention.
That's unintentional.
I mean,
That's
he
truly just how I feel about
Yeah.
Jordan and Kobe and all those guys. So
I mean, he can absolutely drive the brand equity and the brand fame, and then obviously that has an effect in driving more sales conversions. But I guess it's just curious to, I don't know if you have any other questions, Jason, but curious to understand what your kind of best outcome looks like.
So I'll walk you back from my goals, and I think how we get there is super collaborative. What I care the most about for Stan is to find a long-term partner who's really bought in. The thing that I've learned to get there, having done this now for a couple of years, is the more stake you guys have in this from a financial perspective and the more upside you see in this, the more aligned we are. And so if I were to be candid, if this outcome for you guys over the next few years isn't at least a 7 or 8 figure outcome, then I don't think we both use our time as well as we could have. Because that means kind of on the Stevens side, like you guys have so many net potential opportunities. And our side, that means we didn't blow out the brand opportunity as well as we could have and activated you guys and Steven and also the rest of the Flight Studio portfolio, Jason, as well as we could have in terms of building that brand. But on a personal note, one thing I really care about for all of our investors, it's like a personal pride thing for me, is making sure that everyone gets a really good return.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. We tend to do our best partnerships on the equity side with people like yourselves as well. But yeah, more focused on looking for meaningful stakeholders rather than just trying to raise money for the sake of raising money. That makes perfect sense. Yeah, it's our typical partnership profile as well. So I think in terms of next steps, we'll try and send through an initial proposal, kind of draft. I think it would make sense for you to get on a call with Steven directly when he has time. I think he's recording today. So I think alongside the kind of our draft partnership proposal, makes sense kind of Steven to run through that with you and kind of brainstorm it a bit, I think, and how that might work. And then probably we'll go from there, I guess.
That'd be wonderful. I look forward to all of it.
Cool. All right.
Great. We'll be in touch.
Great.
Awesome to meet you.
Nice to meet you, John.
Great to meet you guys. Bye. Let's go! Dude, I just, what's funny is Jason first was like, next steps are, we'll send through a diligence list, what have you. And then at the end there, I don't know if you noticed, he changed the tune. He was like, I think you should meet Steven next. And it was such a good tell of like, holy crap, we're getting to alignment and they're genuinely excited. But like my reflection right now and how I'm feeling is like, it is crazy that I'm getting to have these conversations. Like it is so exciting and energizing and bewildering. I'm like, what is my life? Like it feels really surreal, but I think really surreal in a really good way. Like, holy crap, I might be making my dreams come true. But I will say it took a while to get this point, which does remind me, I should walk you through how we actually got the introduction, like how, after taking like multiple different shots, how we actually got a response. And it all started basically with a DM, where the first thing I did once I realized that we wanted to work with Steven was I just pulled up all of his profiles and all of his websites and just dove into understanding everything about Steven. So looking at his bio here, you can start to understand like what he as a person cares about, right? He's an entrepreneur, so he wants to build his podcast, he wants to sell more of his products, and he's an investor as well. So that gives me a good sense of like, what does he care about, right? Like how can I add value to those specific things and therefore use that as my entry point into actually having a conversation with him that he'll take seriously. And so the first obvious answer you can think about of like the worst case scenario, the way we can get our foot in the door is just by sponsoring his podcast. And so you'll see here from this cold DM that I sent Steven on LinkedIn, hey Steven, 5+ year listener here, like would love to sponsor Diary of a CEO, Prince, happy to get to 7 figures because I know the kind of scale in order for someone like him to blink their eye at has to be at that scale in order to move the needle. Let me know who on your team I should reach out to share more about Stan, where we're just trying to find this angle. So I sent him this DM, and we also found all the other people on his team that run partnerships, so we DM'd them as well. And of course, didn't get a response to my initial DM or any of the other outreaches we had. And then on top of that, I literally went to his fund's website, so the Flight Fund, his fund, where they back companies like Whoop and Huel and SpaceX, like companies that he's helped build the brand of. And I just sent in a cold pitch for investment, which I had very low expectations on. All of that to say, I got 0 responses initially. And so we started thinking about, okay, what's the next step to get in? Which was, you'll see from this email, a warm intro. Where basically, if you can't get in cold, you try to find someone that knows someone that can introduce you. And you'll see from this thread here, they actually got connected with their partnerships team and started having a conversation, like got on a call about how we could start to sponsor some version of his business. And you'd think that this was the way to get in over time. But the lesson I have here is to just shoot your shots and something will eventually land. Where 2 days before Christmas, I get this email back from Flight Fund that says, hey, thanks for reaching out for an investment inquiry. Could you actually resubmit? And I remember thinking at the time, like, it's Christmas, like, is this even worth it? And I still did it. And all of a sudden, basically a couple weeks later, Steven just DMs me back on LinkedIn. And he says, "Hey, John, I was just looking through your inquiry via Flight Fund. Had a few questions. Could you send me a WhatsApp?" Gives me his number, and we're now texting on WhatsApp, where you can see here, I just reach out, I'm like, whatever questions you have, let me know. And then through that process, we're going back and forth and getting really, really amped about all the different potential synergies of like how we can actually work together, where Stan can help so much of his audience, and he can also help us build distribution and brand. And so hopefully the takeaway for you here is to just shoot as many shots as you can as possible and find that right angle or right entry point, and you'll never know like what's gonna happen. Like I never expected this kind of response directly from Steven, but here we are. And ideally the next time you see me is me actually talking to Steven.
Dude, what are we about to do? What's going on?
So we are about to go pick up Steven from the front door out there because he's actually here in London. We've been talking the last few weeks, and
here
he actually flew in.
Sorry to cut in.
You're from London, okay, Austin. I'm nervous, okay. But Steven is here from London. We're about to meet for the next 2 hours and talk about and submit, hopefully, what a partnership looks like between Stan and Steven and his whole fund and studio. So let's see how it goes. Sure. Good to meet you.
Nice location.
Thank you. I wish you'd see it on a sunny day, but it wasn't like cool. I figured we could meet the podcast studio. We almost think of Stan now as the product to sell. So our new customer isn't necessarily our customer, which we always have to keep in mind, but it's the talent that we can recruit and attract. And so we think about how can we create a value prop of working at Stan that's so strong that the top 1% want to work at. So we're very open marketing-wise about paying top-of-market cash and equity compensation. So there's literally no one at our stage of company that pays better than we do, has more financial upside. 2 is the autonomy and ownership. And then 3 is also just the culture. Like we're really, I think, after this whole journey is done, I think one of the things we'll be most proud of is just like the quality of the people that are here. They're both exceptional at what they do, but also just really good, kind people. So that's one of the reasons I was excited for you guys to come by and get a sense of the energy that's here. We're really proud of that. So
yeah, it shows, and you can tell when you walk into a place. You can tell a lot of it's just like how happy the people are in their faces, you know. So like that was abundantly evident the minute I came here.
It's wonderful. One thing Vitali's very proud of is, I won't steal your punchline.
We are going way back. $1 billion company with 10 engineers. Very, very different. So one of the things you mentioned earlier is like how as you're growing and then you get into hiring, things started breaking and getting difficult. And one way to solve that is to like just get better at hiring and activating people. But another way to solve it is actually not to hire. And I think one of the foundational insights that I've picked up from someone actually in 2023 is that growth doesn't equal headcount. And I think it's a very common misconception. So in engineering, because we are remarkably good at building product, we just know what it takes. We don't need more than 10 people writing code. And that's kind of where we stay. But then in other functions where you're scaling human connection and content and like the creative part, this is where you need a lot of talent because the game is different. And this year was transformational for us, just realizing the difference and kind of setting up and building those organizations. Like a lot of our remarkable hires happened this year in those works.
Essentially, to answer your hiring question at a foundational level, what are we hiring and why are we hiring? The problem to solve is we have the best product in the market at this point. It's just fundamentally the highest value product, the easiest to use, the most affordable. It's just the best deal by a long shot. And so our question now is, how do we blow that out, right? 95% of the market just doesn't know exist. So almost all of the talent we're looking for right now at this stage is centered around answering that question.
How are you thinking about YouTube and podcasting as a customer acquisition strategy?
So we completely dominate Instagram and TikTok within our specific niches of coaches, knowledge entrepreneurs, what have you. I think when I think about YouTube and podcasting, I think about it from 2 forms. One is just as net new customer verticals for us. So how do we introduce Stan to podcasting as an industry in the same way Patreon was introduced back in the day? Like how do we normalize a Stan store as a concept and a go-to-market mechanic for the average podcaster? So I think about it first from a customer front, and I think about the same for YouTube, right? Currently YouTubers will push to their custom website and their clunky course hosting software, what have you, but we could easily just insert Stan there as opposed to whatever that thing is. And so first is just from a customer acquisition perspective of like, these are just net new good customers we could acquire. And so that's a pretty standard go-to-market play there. But I also think about YouTube and podcasting and how we could work together purely from a broader distribution awareness perspective as well, as in the way that we consume short form and the way that we consume long form as people. I'm going to adopt a product very much more so if I'm listening to it on YouTube or podcasting specifically. And so we as a marketing organization need to grow our distribution through this lens, and then also separately we need to acquire all the customers here as well. And that's actually what you'll notice about our business and why it's so efficient, why the flywheel is so strong, is because we can actually do both of those at the same time. They're literally a flywheel, because the people you're going out to acquire on YouTube and podcasting in this case are also people that are going to help you distribute through that arena as well. So the way to think about the approach that we'd like to scale over the next year is to model both Red Bull and Barstool. So on the Barstool side, that's having your own owned and operated audiences that are built by multiple different creator personalities.
Okay.
And then on the Red Bull side, how we've really gone to market successfully over time has been partnering with our key athletes, which ideally you'd be one of them. So
I think you're onto the right strategy. It's what I would be doing if I was in your shoes. I think at this particular moment in time, and if I'm being honest, I didn't know Stan Store existed until you sent me the email.
well, that's exactly why we want to work with you.
Which I think it speaks to an incredible opportunity you have, because once I'd seen the email come and I'd done digging around and I started speaking to a few people, other people knew it existed.
And I think the question then to you is, what kind of deal would get you excited about this?
Yeah, so I'm attracted to, I mean, my commercial team might say something else, but for me, I'm attracted to anything that's entrepreneurial. Like, I like building stuff, I like being involved in building companies, and I like having few but deep relationships. So,
Yeah,
your company is so great because it's so perfect for my audience. Like, if I click on my Instagram DMs now, and I looked at who had DM'd me in the last hour, 50% of those people will be entrepreneurs. And so when I say entrepreneurs, they'll be anything from a breathwork practitioner to a personal trainer to some kind of e-commerce entrepreneur. Or if they're not in that category, as you said earlier, they aspire to be. And that's why they're there. So it makes perfect sense. And it made perfect sense. I almost knew that it made perfect sense within about 3 minutes of looking at the email. And I went through this journey of, what the fuck is this? Because I'd never heard of the brand before. To, oh my God. To then like playing out my own thesis about the problem this is solving and how Stan's doing a good job of that. To then looking at your profiles as founders. And then me messaging, I think on a Sunday night, to the team and saying, this is the one. So do you know what I mean? I just knew very quickly that it made perfect sense for like alignment with me, the values I stand for about empowering entrepreneurs and freeing people to live the lives they want to be able to live. And then you guys in the company you've built, so it made perfect sense to me. So it's just about figuring out a deal. To be more specific, I would like to find a way to invest in the company in some capacity. And then I think the most optimal thing for Stan and me is to like really get behind it like Hermosi did.
That's correct.
And I think the impact, if I was to forecast the impact it would have on the business, that graph you have, I think it would change the direction of that graph.
We're super aligned.
Yeah. And there's lots of ways to do this badly, by the way, when you work with someone like me. There's many ways to get it wrong. So it's just about figuring out a deal term and seeing what you're comfortable with. And then me being really transparent about what I think I can deliver.
Great.
How are you thinking about it? What's your...
We are, at a strategic level, we are super aligned. And this conversation, getting to meet you in person and hearing more about how you think about the world, I would be really excited to build something with you. Like what you just said there, like, I get really excited about entrepreneurship and building something. We are on the precipice of that. Like, I feel the energy of it. We've laid so much groundwork. We worked so hard for it. Like, this is the moment. You have the right audience. You have the right values. You're mission aligned. You also have done this multiple times for other companies. I would be really excited about that. And so it's just about the financial terms of it. We're very, very mindful of being good partners in that way. Like, I care a lot on a personal level about delivering people returns. It's just like, I think it's like at my core, it's just like a duty, like integrity thing, but also having come from VC as well. So I know it will be reasonable for sure on the financial terms. We just need to see them and figure it out. But I would look forward personally to working with you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm glad I came. So, yeah.
Cool.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for the time, Steve.
All right, just wrapped up. How are we feeling?
Honestly, pretty good. I was honestly really nervous going in there, and I was really in my head like all morning thinking about if I was going to show up well. And he was super chill, came in, we just talked about the business. I think we're both really excited about what we can build together. And I'm almost like nervous in a way of it's almost too good to be true. Like, he's so excited about the business. his audience is perfect. He seems like a really good thought partner, like just to help us grow the business. And then on top of that, like it's just like the right moment to stand. Like it feels so rare to be this lucky, I guess. And that's why like I don't fully trust it. I'm like, dude, there's no way like things just work out this well. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. It sounds like they're gonna send a financial investment proposal soon. And yeah, we might be off to the races. All right, guys, it just happened. Just got the message. We are officially doing the deal. Like, this feels wild, but we just agreed on valuation, agreed on terms, and honestly, like all of the opportunities and like ideas that I have of what we could do with this investment and partnership are starting to truly hit, because I realize we haven't talked about why we're doing this deal. Like, why, if we're already profitable as a business, why are we going to dilute ourselves and take on more investment from Steven himself? And it's because this could be a 1 + 1 = 1,000 scenario. Or if you think about my startup stand, well, what do? Well, we provide anyone the simplest and easiest way to start their own online business. And then when you think about Steven, well, what kind of audience has he built? He's built a distribution channel of millions of aspiring and budding entrepreneurs who are looking to actually build their business and succeed online. And when you think about that tactical business angle, and then you factor in Steven's personal story of growing as an immigrant in the UK with nothing, and then use social media to build up his own dream business, well, that's just like my story and Stan's mission manifest. But that's only if we actually succeed in blowing this out, because a signed contract or an intention to invest and do these cool things is very, very far away and different from actually making this a reality and blowing it out with a big marketing campaign. And so I'm gonna schedule a brainstorming call with Steven so that y'all can see how we think about building a campaign that really maximizes and gets the most out of this partnership. Sir, you're in a spaceship. What's this background behind you?
This is my car. This is like an office. There's a fridge, PlayStation 5, not that I've ever used it. Screens, it's got desks in here, it's got Starlink on the roof, it's got like music, I don't know, chargers, plugs, coffee machine. So it's like my office when I'm in transit.
That's sick.
Great investment.
Well, welcome to the team.
Yeah, man, thank you. Thank you for the trust, I appreciate it. Very, very excited, very focused, so.
Good. What can we do to make this most worth your time today?
I think we just need to get aligned on how to optimize the launch moment. Okay, I'm quickly going to log off. So I'm going to go upstairs onto my computer because it's super fast.
All right.
And then I'll call you right when we get upstairs, okay?
See you, dude.
All right. See you. Bye.
So, the number one narrative that I know for sure we should harp hard on in the beginning is just your personal story. Just like how who are you? As in like, why does Stan mean so much to you? How is it so mission driven to what you want to pursue? That stuff for sure in the beginning. I know that kind of messaging is super, super critical for us to have, independent of which like actual campaign we do. Like whatever the forcing function is a different question, but the high level thematics that I think are really important is that storytelling.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm thinking the first week is just like making the investment cool, right? It's like the story, the mission, and we go hard across all socials on that. I'd also love to talk about how we can support you in that. Like I'm happy to have the team come fly in to take some organic social for our content and all that kind of stuff, and I can do whatever you think is best. And then I think what you were talking about before around like what narrative to do or what, like from a conversion perspective, it's like, how do we blow this out for the short term for the business? That's the thing that we can, I think is probably the place where we have ideas where we need to test.
Yeah, so there doesn't have to necessarily just be one launch per se, because there can be the like introduction launch, and then there can be the come join my stand community and I'm going to mentor you for a month on how to start your own business launch.
Yes.
Yeah, fine. That's much better.
I think the number one thing that I know is this won't be a success unless you're thinking about throughout the month, like all the great different ideas. And when they come to you, like just shoot the video out or like, you know, say something in the community to like hype people up even more when we do this whole thing. So
I'm very excited, very focused. So.
All right. Well, I feel the same. And there's a lot of stuff underneath that I'm going to make sure I'll play orchestra here and make sure that both teams are executing at the standard that we need to make this a success.
Looking forward to it, John. Thank you so much. I'll speak to you later, okay?
All right, dude. Have a great night.
Hello, man. Bye-bye. Bye.
All right. So my intention for this meeting is just to go like truly bit by bit on all the scenes, because I think my gut reaction is I have confidence that some of these viral videos, like the fun, cute ones, will do well because they're just fun and cute. I don't yet have conviction on the emotional origin storytelling stuff that we should do. So I just want to walk through that. I don't have full clarity on this, so please work with me on this. Sure. I just know that something's missing still. I think the first step to helping me drive the missing gap is having a couple aspirational brand level videos that we have high conviction will perform on the 1 million+ view level. So like I think both of these are good videos. I have more conviction. I don't know if the hero's journey video will do well based off of what the first line is, like the audio first line. So we can actually cut more. I would actually have him record multiple different lines. So I'd have multiple lines for that. Sounds good. So then next steps then, I'm super signed off on all this, get Natalie's thoughts and Lo's thoughts on a couple other potential trends that showcase the personality. Like the Gen Z CEO one is good, and then any others like that. And then you guys decide what you want to prioritize time-wise. Based off of your conviction on what performs. And then we are going to do our best to get as much content as possible.
Does he have a hard stop at 8:30? Like,
no.
Oh, okay. Because based on how he feels.
If he's like in the direction.
Let's have some Celsiuses ready to go, or whatever.
All right, sir. So you touched on it a bit in the meeting, but can you just kind of go over what's the overall goal with this campaign, and what are some of the concerns you were mentioning?
Yeah. So we have the opportunity to build the Nike for entrepreneurship, to inspire like every little John, every little Steven, every younger version of you, getting to say like, hey, wait a minute, no matter who I am, what my story is, how I feel, how I grew up, like there's a version of me who's made it, which is something like little kid me never had the opportunity to feel or see in the mass media. And so Steven is like our Michael Jordan. Like Steven is willing himself to success coming from basically nothing. And in that sense, if you think about how do you build a Nike for entrepreneurship, you build it around the stories of successful athletes. And like entrepreneurship is a sport in many ways, right? Like they're athletes in their own right. They take care of their bodies, their mind. They have to push through exceptionally hard and painful things. And so the whole point of this launch is to elevate Steven as an athlete of entrepreneurship and share his story. And in that, connect on an emotional resonance level with all the people watching. Like, hey, like if he can do it, like truly came from nothing, like I can do it too.
I love it. So then for this Monday shoot, how are you feeling in general, and what's also the timeline? Because that seems really soon.
So just for y'all's context, Monday is 3 days away, and we've never done a shoot like this before. This is like a Hollywood level production we're trying to jam in 3 days with like 45 different ideas, because the goal, your output metric is just to maximize as much content as possible, right? And it has to be ideally good content, not wasted content. And so to have conviction on like 5+ different ideas, we're gonna film like ideally 20+ short form videos to get his team bought in. We've never seen the studio space before, so we don't know what it's gonna look like. There's a bunch of swirling questions. But what I'm actually feeling right now, maybe it's because I'm not living the reality of it, is the chaos feels kind of fun. Like the uncertainty of it actually feels kind of fun. And it's up for us, like in the moment, Monday afternoon, to like catch the balls as they come and figure out how to like maximize the moment. So
I love it. Well, let's hope it goes well.
Cool. See you guys Monday.
Hello, sir.
Hey. You know, I was on the car ride over, and I realized that this is kind of our Super Bowl. All right, so we just arrived at the studio, about to go film the announcement video, but before we do that, we are going to give you a quick tour. So Steven has a set back in London, but this is a constructed set to match that. And one of my favorite parts is not all of this is because they can't ship a book, like because they travel to the guests and all that kind of stuff. And so they can't always have all the plaques. So this is like a fake YouTube plaque. They're like, this is some of the book. Okay, these books are real. Oh no, these books, because they're like off center. They match the books in London, but they're like fake books because they have to build the set. But it's really, really cool. It's like the perspective is you understand how much effort goes into the tiniest of details for all this content, where people are like, oh, you know, it's like just a podcast. It's like, no, it's not just a podcast. This is like dozens of hardworking people like obsessing over every single detail, and those details compound in a way where it ends up being a really, really successful production. So.
Hello, mate. You're right. Good to see you. How are you? Hello, team. You're right. Good to see you all. How are you? Thank you for being here. This is our little LA home.
Well, I figured you and I could debrief on Broad, and then we can pull on their team. But just context, Thomas is going to be directing. He's a social mastermind. Lo and Natalie, you might recognize probably from our social channels.
Yeah.
They'll be joining. Jackie's going to take photos. Kyle and Rebecca lead marketing, and Stan, they're pros. Natalia, just all around pro. So that's the team. Cool. So flow, we can just riff for 10 minutes if you'd like to, and then we'll move on. We'll do some fun social stuff, and then if you have the energy for it and we have the time, we'll do some of the more emotional things if you feel good about anything on that. Cool.
Call it.
The 3, take 1.
Steven, you just invested in my life's work.
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
There's so many reasons. There's so many big picture macro reasons. When I make investments, it's basically in my head the stars aligning. And I'll give you a little window into what these stars are. The first is we're seeing this big macro trend of more and more people showing a desire to become entrepreneurs. And in part that's because there are so many case studies out in the world now of people moving from a secure 9-to-5 job to being very, very successful with very, very little resource as an entrepreneur, as a creator, selling digital products or something like that. So there's this big macro picture there. The tools have developed so much that enable creators to build businesses now. Whether it's the infrastructure like mobile internet, whether it's platforms like Stan Store. So now it's more possible than it's ever been. And then this comes to my next point. If the wave is coming into shore, which surfboard does one ride? And this is, when I say surfboard, I mean which team does one back? And I did a lot of research into different players in this space. We get, Molly will tell you, 25,000 pitches some months. And your core team had all the core components to win. Now, that doesn't mean winning is inevitable, but when you have smart people that have a great culture, that are united behind a certain vision, and you manage to align those vectors with enough force in the same direction, pretty remarkable things can happen. And the trajectory you had, the case studies you had, I went on your website and I read your shareholder letter before I even spoke to you, and I believe that this was the surfboard. This is the team that are going to do it. This is the team that's going to help change millions of people's lives as this wave comes into shore. It's going to empower them, and it's going to bring down the barriers to the life they could have had, to the life that they should have.
Okay, so we have 2 CEOs right here. I want to go through your morning routines, or your whole day routine actually. So 6 a.m., what are you doing?
Sleeping.
I am just getting out of bed. I'm like groggily waking up.
Okay, so no 5 a.m. ice bath.
No.
Okay, got it. Okay, 7 a.m.
Sleeping.
Really? You're like one of the highest performers in the world.
Wait till 8 a.m. It gets more interesting.
So because I'm fully trying to mobilize at 7 a.m. trying to get my old joints to go to the gym.
Okay, 8 a.m.
Looking at my phone with one eye. The other eye is still closed.
All right, because I assume you're a night out. This is true. You are a night out.
All right, 9 a.m.
Sleeping again. I've fallen back asleep.
Really?
I've checked the phone, everything's fine, I'm back to sleep because I realise I don't have to wake up yet. And I've looked at my Whoop and it says, you're not quite there, so I go back to sleep.
I'm loving your morning routine. Can we just say that? What about you, 9 a.m.?
I'm clearly a morning person. I'm full-blown cranking. I'm probably on some sort of investor meeting or sales pipeline review meeting, just something to run the business.
Okay, so then 10 a.m.
I'll be awake at this time. Okay. I'll be awake and I'll be looking for caffeine. I'll be looking at my emails, my phone, looking at my WhatsApp messages because I'm probably not in the UK. I'm probably away somewhere. And I'll be checking that everything's fine with my girlfriend because she's usually in another place as well. So I'll be checking there's nothing wrong there. Yeah, so all my checks.
10 a.m.?
I'm cranking.
Well,
right. we're about to see later on in this video how Steven ramps it up.
Yeah, I know.
I'm completely asleep. I'm clearly the grandpa.
Okay, we'll go to 11.
Usually when I arrive at work and chaos strikes, which means multitasking, meetings, people, emails, everything you can imagine all at once. It's getting hit by a wave of 20, 30 different businesses and all their teams and all of their priorities and all of their requests all at once. And so by 11 o'clock I've had my coffee and we're off to the races.
All right, what about you, 11?
I mean, this is why he clearly needs his sleep,
yeah.
Right? I think Steven just described my day to a T for the next 5 hours, but probably half as hard as his.
Let's do 5 p.m.
The same. It's the same chaos. It's really the same chaos until about 7 p.m.
Oh.
And at 7 p.m. I'm able to return back to my desk, and this is when my work begins. So this is when usually most people have left the office. You're not going to be meeting anybody at 7 p.m. So at about 7 p.m., at about 4 p.m. I would have had my lunch, which is my first meal of the day. And at about 7 p.m. is when I start my work.
4 p.m. first meal of
Yeah,
the day?
first meal of the day, 4 p.m. And then 7 p.m. I start my work.
What about you, 5?
I'm nowhere near as disciplined. I've had 2.5 meals, probably a snack. By 6 o'clock, I'd say my meetings start to slow down. And then you're right, around 7 is when you're like, oh, finally, I get to do the real work, right? I've been in meetings all day, and so that's when I also start doing my work. But I'm much more tired than Steven at this point because I think your energy is still flowing.
Mm-hmm. Let's do 9 p.m.
At my laptop at work, working, going through emails, my Monday boards, my to-do lists, reviewing podcast guests, looking at investments, looking at WhatsApp messages. But that is definitely the time where I'll be sat at my laptop, at my computer, in the office, working.
9 p.m. I'm starting to slowly ramp down. I'm still probably checking my email. I'm probably trying to do my best to turn off blue light before I go to bed, but of course I'm still checking it. But I'm starting to ramp down my day.
Hopefully you're in bed by now. 11 p.m.
I've just come back from the gym, and I'm back on my computer. And I am probably sat on the sofa, maybe in my office at home, maybe even in bed on my laptop. But 11 p.m. I'll be on my laptop for sure working. That's when I have a lot of ideas and I get quite creative and I start thinking about bigger picture things. So not smashing through my to-do list, but thinking about bigger things, bigger decisions. And a lot of my decisions or ideas will emerge at this time of night.
Midnight? Are you sleeping now?
Definitely not sleeping at midnight. I could be working on any number of things. I think for the last couple of nights in a row, at that time, I've been messing around with extracurricular professional activities like teaching myself to code. And that's pretty much what happens until maybe 1 or 2 a.m. in the morning. And usually around that time is when I'll fall asleep, which explains why I end up waking up later. It just is what it is. And the other, I think, important thing is I don't set an alarm clock because sleep is the key. Sleep is the thing that makes everything downstream, my mood, my ability to think about ideas, work. So fall asleep, no alarm clock set, have a rule, no meetings before 11. And that just means my sleep is able to just run. So yeah, very different, but it's very interesting.
There we go.
All right, are you ready to throw a box at Steven's head?
Yep, who wants to throw the box? Not everybody all at once.
All right, Natalie, you're best at throwing the box?
Oh, I usually take the box. Yeah.
Take the box.
I am the person that gets hurt in the videos. So, but you know
what? What is Steven saying during this time? It's just so we don't have to throw the box at him multiple times.
Okay, and I've seen this before.
You know what this is?
Yes.
Just make sure you're actually good with it.
I know. Yeah, I know exactly.
Okay. You know what it
is. I've seen many people struck with many boxes, and I also have a great lawyer. So let's get throwing. Really push it as well, you know.
Okay.
Really
Okay, just do it. Okay.
Yeah.
You got it, Natalie. Go.
Are you still waiting for that box to hit me? I'm waiting for you to start your business by signing up to Standstore. Are you still waiting? Yeah, that's good. That was a corner.
All right, guys. Wrapped.
Well done, mate.
Appreciate you, man.
Nice to meet you, brother.
Yeah.
See you soon.
All right, sir. Just wrapped a very long day of filming with Steven. How are you feeling?
Indeed. I am beat, but Steven was such a champ. He's heading out now, actually. So good! See you guys. Yes, Steven was such a fucking champ. Steven, if you ever watch this, you're the fucking man. Thank you for filming all that content. And now we gotta go to the lab to cook. And what's gonna happen from here, we'll see. But we're trying to blow out this launch. And I'm so excited you guys are here to witness the journey. And I can tell you for a fact that this partnership with Steven, with Flight Studio, with Diary of a CEO, is gonna put us on the map in a different way. And it's another step, and a really big step, to getting to a $1 billion company. So I'll see you guys later. All right, so I'm just about to post the launch video to make this partnership officially go live, which is a wild and super exciting but kind of terrifying moment because this partnership is really going to put us on the map. But I just want you to recognize as you think about your own journey that just 6 months ago, this was literally just an idea in my head to make happen. And yes, of course, there took 5 years of hard work and persisting to build a business even worthy of someone like Steven's attention. But we've now hustled our way into putting ourselves on the map and getting to partner with the biggest names out there. And it's time for us to step into the spotlight and inspire all of the little Stevens and Johns out there in the world. So with that being said, there is nothing left to do but to press post.